Thank you very much, Claire, and thank you for all members of the Irish delegation to raise their voice and to call for an immediate ceasefire. And honestly, as a Palestinian, I was shocked to see that the leaders of the EU, the leaders of the free world, failed to call for an immediate ceasefire, knowing that a ceasefire will save lives in both sides, Israelis and Palestinians. And in this regard, the failure of the EU to push for an immediate ceasefire is something very strange, is something that I cannot understand, and I hope that the summit tomorrow, I'm not very optimistic about the results of the summit tomorrow, but I hope at least that they will go in line of the resolution of the European Parliament if they are not in a position to call for an immediate ceasefire, at least to call for a humanitarian pause. Today is the 19th day of bombardment on Gaza. Since yesterday, indiscriminate Israeli bombardment have increased in scale and in scope, and the number of massacred civilians also increased as a consequence. Last night alone, Israeli bombed 400 targets in Gaza with 400 bombs. Each one of them is 1 ton. It is 1,000 kilos. So you can imagine the devastating impact on this very heavily populated area in Gaza. The result is alone for the last 36 hours, 700 Palestinians were killed. Today at 9 a.m. this morning, all hospitals are unable to provide medical care to patients. The Palestinian Ministry of Health is therefore saddened to have to declare the collapse, the total collapse of the health system in Gaza. Israel bans access to fuel to all hospitals. All injured and sick people cannot be treated because of the lack of electricity and medicine. 12 of our 35 hospitals in Gaza have already stopped minimum supply due to the Israeli attacks and the lack of fuel. Several hospitals have already rationed medical care to critical cases. This will lead to a massacre. Hundreds of thousands of patients, elders, babies, women and men, injured people, all of them will not be granted medical care. 7,000 people are under respiratory assistance. 150,000 babies are in incubators. The blackout will kill them all. 350,000 people are suffering of diseases such as heart diseases, cancers, and other diseases. They will not receive any medical care as 9 this morning. With many health facilities bombed and other behind breaking point, there are serious concerns about the accessibility of medical care for many people and for thousands of injured people in the Gaza Strip. For we estimate 50,000 women in Gaza, pregnant women, are in urgent need of a medical care, and none of them will be able to receive an adequate medical health care. Since yesterday, this is also the worst scenario that happened since yesterday, we have observed the use of white phosphor munition in bombing a densely populated area. This results in the increase in the number of killed people and injured people. This is where my 700 persons who were killed during the last 36 hours comes from. The numbers are frightening. So far, in 19 days of bombardment, 6,500 Palestinians were killed, including 1,400 women, 2,400 children, 25 journalists, 65 medical personnel, 63 UN staff, 20,000 injured people in Gaza. 25 ambulances were targeted and destroyed, with 2,000 people also missing. They are reported to be missing because our rescue team cannot save them and they are still trapped under the rubble. Including of those 2,000 people, there are 870 children. The death toll is 20 times, and here I emphasize on that. In 20 months of bombardment in Ukraine, it is reported that 10,000 civilians were killed in Ukraine in 20 months of bombardment. In Gaza, Gaza is a home, the Ukrainian population is 43 million people. Of the 43 million people, 10,000 civilians were killed. Gaza is a home of 2.2 million Palestinians. In 19 days of bombardment, there are 6,500 Palestinian kills, which represent a number of 22 times higher than the number of civilians killed in Ukraine in 20 months of bombardment. If you add to that, what reinforced the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, 180,000 housing units were totally or partially destroyed during the 18th day of bombardment. For those who knows the Belgian geography, this is twice the number of all houses in the Province du Namur in Belgium. You just can imagine the huge, massive destruction of civilian infrastructures. 1.2 million people are internally displaced in Gaza. Gaza is 360 square kilometers with 2.2 million people. Half of them are internally displaced, including 600,000 people are hosted in UNRWA facilities, living in a very poor conditions, with many dangerous diseases are spreading among them. UNRWA has stated that it will not be able to provide people with the basic necessity as of today, which will increase the humanitarian catastrophe on Gaza. Those who manage to comply with the evacuation order given by the Israeli army to the southern part of Gaza are also lack food, lack electricity, lack medical care like many other Palestinians. And regarding the Israeli call on Palestinians to move to the southern part of Gaza, the family of this famous journalist at Al Jazeera, he moved his family to the southern part of Gaza. Yesterday his family was targeted, the house of his family was targeted. He lost his wife Amina, 45 years old, his son Ahmad, 16 years old, and his daughter Malak, 6 years old, and his little son 1 month and a half, 45 days. He moved his family to the southern part of Gaza. There is no one single safe place in the Gaza Strip today. Let's not forget about the West Bank. In the West Bank, since the beginning of the aggression against Gaza, in 19 days, 105 Palestinians were shot and killed. 5 of them were shot and killed by settlers. Those settlers that today are calling to burn out and to destroy the village of Hawara in a new wave of pogrom against the Palestinian people. And here I join my voice to your voice, Claire, and my dear members of parliament. We need an immediate ceasefire. Otherwise, Israel will continue massacring more people. And to end, the EU, which is in a position today that failed to call for an immediate ceasefire, it should make sure that none of the EU member states is providing Israel with weapons that Israel is using to kill civilians. It should make sure that the International Criminal Court should investigate those crimes committed during this current devastating war against our people in Gaza. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, my dear members of parliament. And I hope that very soon we will stop talking about this war.